Hope you're doing well. I sure as heck miss you. Not nearly the same teaching from home, but I guess we're doing the best we can, huh? Today is April 14th, and our topic today is money. Money is one of those topics that we're intimately familiar with, but it's more complicated than it seems. So there's a couple things I want to go over with you guys today. The topic that we're going into right now is money and banking. We're going to be talking about money. We're going to be talking about the Federal Reserve System. And then I will have a test on Socrative, just like the last one. And then our last unit will be on international economics, money. And money is defined as anything that can be used as a medium of exchange. And the uses of money are three. So the uses of money, the first one is as a medium of exchange. And since we have money, it eliminates the need for a double coincidence of wants. It's a phrase that I would like you guys know a little bit about. Because we have money, we do not need to have a double coincidence of wants. So let me give you an example. Let's say I have this cell phone and you have this Kindle. A double coincidence of wants means that if I want your Kindle, the only way we could exchange is if you want my cell phone. You would need what I have, and you would want what I have, and I would want what you have, then we could exchange. But what if I want your Kindle, but you don't want my cell phone? No transaction would occur unless we had money. I could buy your Kindle for whatever you wanted to sell it for, and it would get rid of the double coincidence of want. So money makes transactions a lot easier. Another use of money is as a unit of accounting. Now our federal government does this all the time to find out whether our economy is getting bigger or getting smaller. I just read on the New York Times today that there are experts that are predicting that the world economy will shrink by at least 3% next year, which means we're going to be going into a recession. Remember, a recession, guys, is 2 quarters in a row where GDP numbers go smaller rather than bigger. So the GDP is one way of just measuring our economy. It is a unit of accounting. Now, question, ladies and gentlemen, I looked this up this morning. We have 2 American car companies, Ford and GM. Which one do you think is bigger? Well, I looked on Google Finance today, and according to the stock market, Ford currently has a market cap of $20.9 billion. That means that if you take all the stocks out there for Ford and multiply them by the value of each share, you get the market cap. According to Wall Street, Ford has a market cap of 20.9 trillion. GM, as of this morning, has a market cap of $32.8 billion. So if I were to ask you which of these 2 car companies is a bigger car company, you'd be able to say GM is, because it has a larger market cap. Now, just to show you how bad things are for some companies, when I taught this class in the fall to my kids, the market cap for Ford was not at 20.9 billion, it was at 42.9 billion. Ford has lost about half its value in the last half a year. GM back then was about $52.9 billion. So Ford has lost about 40% of its value over the last half a year. Not too good, huh? Another purpose and the last use of money is as a store of value. I am working now I am putting money away. I am storing the value of the money. So when I retire, I will have some money to live on. Just so you know, the US $100 bill, did you know that 2/3 of the US $100 bill are not even in the United States, they're in the rest of the world? And the reason why a lot of our money is in the rest of the world is because of the store of value. Our currency holds its value more than a lot of other currencies out there. So let me just give you an example. In 1914, 1 US dollar was equal to about 4.2 German marks. Now, Germany doesn't have the mark anymore. They use the euro, but back in 1914 they had their own currency. And just slightly over a decade later, in 1923, after the First World War, 1 US dollar equaled about 44.2 trillion German marks. So, which currency, the mark or the US dollar, stored its value more? The US dollar. It got a lot more valuable in relationship to the German mark. Anyway, the three uses of money are medium of exchange, unit of accounting, and store of values. All right, guys. Topic number 2 are types of money. And I want you just to know a little bit about this. There are 3 types of money. Number 1 is commodity money. The word commodity in simplified form means things that comes from the land. So commodity money is money that is valuable as money and valuable in its own right. The most common examples of commodity money would be gold. It has value as money. You can use it for one of these things, but it also is valuable in and of itself. You can make it into jewelry and wear it. Silver would be a commodity money. It could be used as money, or it could be used to make jewelry, for instance. Back in 1636 in Amsterdam, tulips were very, 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 very popular, and they were very valuable. So people could have used tulips back then to buy stuff that they wanted. It could be used as money, or it could be used to grow a flower. Now in 1637, the value of the tulips just plummeted because people didn't want to buy them anymore, maybe because they were experiencing the bubonic plague back then. So anyway, gold, silver, tulips. Before the Revolutionary War in the United States, Great Britain wouldn't allow the United States to print its own money. As a result, we had to use the British pound or other international currencies. The people in the United States were limited by the amount of money that they could actually get because they weren't able to print their own money, so they tended to use other things. Sometimes they used tobacco as a form of money. They used it as a medium of exchange, a unit of accounting or store of value, or they could smoke it. It was a commodity money. Anyway, commodity money, again, is money that has value as money, and it also has value in and of its own right. Number 2 type of money is representative money. Representative money is typically paper money, but it can be exchanged for something of value, typically gold or silver. So it is backed by something. From 1879 to 1933, the United States was on the gold standard, which means that if you were using the US currency in whatever form it was backed by gold. So if you had a $20 bill in your pocket, it was worth $20 worth of gold. So in theory, you could take that $20 bill, take it somewhere, and get $20 worth of gold. It was representative money. Now, to help finance the Revolutionary War back in 1776, the U.S. Continental Congress issued what they called the Continental. And the Continental was a form of representative money. It was paper money, but it could be exchanged for its value in gold and silver. Representative money. The last form of money is fiat money. Now, fiat money is not based on the car company. The word fiat means a government order. And fiat money is valuable because people think it's valuable, because the government says it's valuable. It's not backed by anything. Like the current US money is not backed by anything. If you have a $20 bill in your pocket, you cannot exchange it for $20 worth of gold because we're not on the gold standard anymore. That $20 bill is valuable because you think it's valuable, because you have faith in the US government, which is great. But what if you were living in Venezuela and you worked your whole life and you saved money as you were working in Venezuela as a store of value for when you retired? I don't know if you know this, but the last couple years have been really bad in Venezuela. Inflation has been horrible. So the money that Venezuela used, fiat money, which was not backed by anything because people lost faith in the Venezuelan government, they lost faith in the money supply, so the value of the Venezuelan currency almost disappeared. So it's practically valueless. So if you worked for 30 years to save for retirement, you had all of this Venezuelan currency and then the value disappeared. Can you imagine how bad that would be? Anyway, fiat money is money, paper money typically, that is only valuable because people say it is. And an example of this would be our current money, or the greenback, which was printed during the US Civil War to help pay for the war. And it was called the greenback because on the back it was green. The types of money is characteristics of, I guess I'm going to use the word good. Not the best phrase, but whatever. Do the best I can. To help you remember this, PADS, and I'm going to put a underline under the D and the S, meaning that there are 2 for each of those. There are 6 characteristics of good money. Number 1, it's durable. It lasts. That would be one of the D's. I looked this up, and according to the Federal Reserve, a $1 bill has a lifespan of 5.8 years, which means an average $1 bill will last 5.8 years before it's too worn to be considered good money anymore. A $5 bill has a lifespan of about 5.5 years. A $10 bill has a lifespan of about 4.5 years. A $20 bill has a lifespan of about 7.9 years. A $50 bill on average has a lifespan of about 8.5 years. And a $100 bill has a lifespan of about 15 years. So according to the Federal Reserve, those are the average lifespans of each of the bills that we have. Now, if I was looking at this, it seems to me that the one that is spent the least, that is used least as a medium of exchange, would be this one, because it lasts a lot longer, which means it's being spent a lot less. It's probably being used as a store of value. And a lot of these $100 bills, as I said before, about 2/3 of them are not even in the United States. If you were a Venezuelan and you had US currency, when the value of their currency disappeared, if you had money in US currency, you would be in much better shape than if you didn't. Looking at this, it seems like the one that is spent the most is the $10 bill, because it has the shortest lifespan. So how does money once it gets worn out, how does it get replaced? Well, even if you have a worn bill, it's still good. Let's say you have a $20 bill that's nearing the end of its lifespan. You would take that $20 bill and deposit it into your bank. Your bank is going to look at it and say, this $20 bill is not good anymore. They're still going to give you the value of the $20 as part of your deposit, but they're going to send that $20 bill up to the Federal Reserve Bank up in San Francisco. The San Francisco Fed is going to shred it. They're going to get rid of it. They used to burn it, but because of environmental reasons, now they shred it, and they're going to replace it with a new $20 bill, which is going to go back into circulation. So the Federal Reserve up in San Francisco takes in the old bills, shreds them, replaces them with the new bills, and that's how our money looks good over time. Number 2, it should be portable. That's one of the P. That's the P. Easy to move from place to place. If you had a lot of money in gold years and years ago, it's not easy to move it from place to place. It's not very portable. Another characteristic of good money is stable in value. Stable in value. An example of a currency that is stable in value would be the US dollar. An example of a currency that's not stable in value would be the German mark back in the early part of the 20th century. It lost almost all its value in the course of about 10 years. So, stable in value means there's not a lot of inflation. We have a little bit of inflation, but not too much. The US dollar, for the most part, is pretty stable. Another thing here, the second S, is scarce. We want to use something that is not readily available everywhere. That's one reason gold was so valuable. There's not a lot of it out there. That's one reason silver was used as money. There's not a lot of it out there. It has to be scarce. Number 5, it should be divisible. Basically meaning you can make change easily. And number 6 is it should be accepted. If you walked into a 7-Eleven and you want to buy a Slurpee, your money should be accepted there. The 6 characteristics of good money. Let's see if the US dollar fits this. Is it durable? Yeah, and when it's not, it's replaceable. Is it portable? Sure, it's just paper, easy to carry around. Stable in value. There's a little bit of inflation. A little bit of inflation is a good thing. So it's pretty stable in value. Is it scarce? Yep, nobody's allowed to print that stuff unless you're the Treasury Department. It's called counterfeit, guys. Is it divisible? Yep, it's easy to make change. And is it accepted? Yep. I can pay my taxes or pay my mortgage with money. What about a Bitcoin? This is an example of a cryptocurrency, and I had a student a couple years ago knew a lot about Bitcoin, so he told me all about it. The way they mine Bitcoins is they have computer programs that run these huge programs, and as a result, all of these computers running these programs are able to create Bitcoins. It's a way of keeping the money scarce. Is a Bitcoin durable? I would say so. It's just a computer code. It could last as long as you want it to be. Is it portable? I'm thinking so. You can send it on the internet pretty easily. Is it stable in value? Bitcoins trade just like a stock trades, and it goes up and down all the time. I'm going to say that it's not stable in value. Is it scarce? Yep, because it's created by these computer algorithms with the intent of keeping it scarce. Is it divisible? Yeah, you can have a fraction of a Bitcoin. And is it accepted? Good luck buying a smoothie at 7-Eleven with a Bitcoin. So I'm thinking it's probably not as accepted as the US dollar. All right, guys, I'm almost done. One more topic is categories. Whoops. All right, fine folks, I would like you to know a little bit about this, and I'm using the numbers from 2013, the latest years that I could find actual numbers. M1 has 3 things in it, and the whole purpose of M1 is liquidity. I would like you to know what liquidity means. Liquidity means, guys, it's money that is very, very, very easy to spend. Liquidity means ease of spending. Now you could say that there could be a very, very, very wealthy person that's not very liquid. Let's say there was somebody that lived in Pebble Beach and they had their house and it was worth $20 million, but that's all they had. They were very wealthy, they have a very expensive house, but if they have no cash, they're not able to buy stuff, they're not very liquid. So the whole category of M1 is liquidity. It's easy money to spend. Number 1 here would be currency. Currency is paper money and it's coinage. It's the stuff that's in your pocket right now. And as of 2013 in the US, that amount was about $1,127.5 billion. Now there are some problems with currency. If somebody stole your currency, you're not going to get it back, so it's not very safe. Transaction accounts are accounts in your bank where you put your money for safekeeping. Basically, transaction accounts is just another word for checking accounts. And as of 2013, there was about $1,416.1 billion of money in transaction accounts. The next category used to be a lot more important than it is now, but traveler's checks. Back in the old day, if I was going to go on a trip, I don't want to carry a lot of currency around because it's if I lost it, I'm not getting it back. So traveler's checks was a safer form of money. You know you're going on a trip, you go to your bank, Wells Fargo, you pay them $500, they give you $500 in traveler's checks, and they're basically printed by the bank. When you buy them in front of the teller, you sign your name. Then you take them. When you're traveling, when you want to buy something, your signature is already on the traveler's checks. You go into a store and you sign again on the traveler's checks right next to your old signature. If those signatures match, and the person who you're buying something from checks your ID, it's just as good as cash. But because we have debit cards and because we have credit cards now, traveler's checks are a lot less important than they used to be. 2013, the value of all the traveler's checks in the US was $3.7 billion. I'd imagine it's less now. The value of M1 back in 2013 was $2,547.3 billion. All right. The whole purpose of M1, liquidity. These 3 things are super easy to spend. M2 is a broader category of money, and it includes everything in M1. So M1 had $2,547.3 billion. So that's also going to be part of M2. Another part of M2 is savings accounts. If you have a savings account and a checking account at the bank, you put money into your checking account or your transaction account with the intent of spending it. You put money into a savings account with the intent of saving it. And I was really surprised that this number was so big. But back in 2013, $6,914.1 billion in the United States. Another thing in here is certificates of deposit, also known as CDs. Alright guys, if you put money into a savings account, you're going to get a little bit of interest. The interest rates are really, really low now. But you can pull that, that's my dog, you can pull that money out anytime basically. If you commit your money to the bank for a certain amount of time, let's say 6 months or a year, they're going to give you a little bit higher interest rate. Like I remember a couple months ago, my bank, Chase, was offering 2% CDs for a year. If I bought one of those, that would mean I would not have access to my money for a year, but I would get a slightly higher interest rate. As of 2013, the amount of money in CDs was $583.8 billion. The last category here is retail market funds. What they are, guys, is really safe investment. Don't really worry about it. $645.9 billion. Adding all that up, it was $10,691.1 billion as of 2013. Question, ladies and gentlemen, which one is always bigger? M1 or M2? M2 is always bigger because M2 includes M1 plus 3 things more. M1 is always less than M2, or M2 is always greater than M1. Thank you guys. I'm going to have a couple more lessons in money and banking. I think only 1 or 2 homework assignments that I want you to do. Then I'm going to have a Socrative test, and then only 1 more after that, and then we're done. Thanks guys. You guys are awesome. Bye.